Welcome everybody to the Vainglory China Invitational. My name is Wolf. With me today is Brandon Valdez. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling great, Wolf. I'm really excited to get into these games. Some of the best Chinese players coming out here, of course, to celebrate the opening of the new Chinese server for Vainglory, and it is so popular over there right now.
Yeah, it's only been out for about a week, but obviously already a ton of players coming into the Chinese server. We're inviting some of the best players. Some players have already shown themselves in our invitational leagues, as well as some other regions. Now can finally play on their home turf in China. So we're going to find out over the course of these 3 days who the best players in China are right now.
Yeah, of course, it's going to take 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, over here in Korea and China. And we're going to have lots of matches coming up for you guys. Of course, we're going to have a big opening ceremony first. And, there's going to be 2 days of group stages and then the semifinals and finals on Sunday.
That's right. So it's going to be a bit of a longer tournament. So it's going to be a 3-day sort of event. And obviously with groups, it's going to be round robin and such. So we'll take a little bit of time to kind of get through the earlier stages of the tournament. But we've got players from all over China. We've got people of all different skill levels as well. And that's what this group stage is going to basically decide is who is the best right now, who's going to make it to those semis.
Yeah, we're definitely going to find out, I think, in the first couple of days that some of these teams are very, very strong. Definitely going to come ahead of some of the weaker teams. I was looking at some of the teams, and these guys have been playing on the C server for a very long time. Of course, you got Godfather, who was part of Hunters that played in the VIPL over here as well. He's definitely a big guy to look at. His team, DMG or Damage, is definitely going to be one of those favorited teams coming into this.
This game is already soared to the top of the App Store in China. And for those of you guys who don't know, China's population is obviously quite massive. Yeah. So the player base for this game in this region is going to be very formidable. And a lot of people predict that this region actually may become the strongest very quickly just because it has such a large player base that you will eventually find the talent. You're going to find the best players in such a wide player pool.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at another mobile game, Hearthstone, you got Korean players, Chinese players that are very fantastic. Mobile gaming is huge in Asia, so it makes a lot of sense to me. Like when I heard that it blew up in China, I'm like, oh yes. I mean, this game is so fun. It's so well designed. It's very easy to get into. It's just 3 players. You can play with your friends. It's not as hard as getting a 5-man team.
Sure.
It's just so easy and accessible, especially because it's free to play as well.
And that accessibility that you talk about is actually one of the coolest things about this game. You can play it on any mobile device that runs Android or iOS. You can play on your iPhone. You can play on your Galaxy Tab. You can play on whatever device you have. And it's going to run great. I've played on all sorts of devices myself, and so you can play it when you're on the train, you can play it in the car, you can play it at home. And one of the cool things about it is it's not like when you play a traditional game, like where you need an entire PC for it, where you have to bring your PC to your friend's house, or you have to Skype or something. If you're hanging out with your friends, I mean, everyone brings their phone with them all the time, right? Everyone's got their tablet with them all the time, so you can just sit down on the couch and play with your friends, which is really cool.
Or not even tablet, you bring your iPhone over to your friend's house, and he's like, oh, I'm playing this new game, Vainglory, you want to join me? And you're like, well, I don't have my computer here. He's like, no, take out your phone, let's play, it's
download
really
that in a few seconds and jump right in. It's a really easily accessible game. It's not very hard, it's very simple to learn. Obviously, one of those games that's easy to learn, hard to master, so that's why there is such a cool pro scene.
Yeah, for sure. I myself, I'm a tablet player. There were some of the best players over here in the VIPL that were actually using iPhones. I know a guy named Druid, one of the best laners over here from one of the Korean teams, was using an iPhone, and actually one of those little sticks where you can press the screen as well to be very accurate. So, don't think that a tablet makes you better. It's actually just about your individual
Exactly.
skill.
Like you said, even using a stylus is something that people can do up to their own personal preference. And when you're learning the game as well, when you go into do like a normal game, you can choose any hero that you have available, and even if your opponent's team has the same one, it's fine. Just take some time to learn it, practice your abilities, and who knows, maybe when you get into ranked mode, you could become one of the better players in your region and become a pro player yourself.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of leagues out there. You got the VGL going on for North America and Europe. You got the VIPL over here. Of course, there's qualifiers if you're in Korea. And of course, just blowing up now in China. They've got their own qualifiers on the way. Don't you guys worry. So it's going to be pretty cool.
So just to talk a little bit about us, I'm a commentator who's lived here in Korea for 5 years. You've lived here for, what, nearly 4 or something like that?
About 3 years, yeah. 3.5.
Okay. But yeah, you're actually commentating with Monte Cristo, a normal invitational league that happens here in Korea. This is going to be my first time commentating Vainglory, so I'm really excited. This is a game I played a lot of, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah, you were actually the guy that like got us into it. You're like, hey, this game is so awesome. You know, I'm playing it a bunch, and we didn't really know much about it, but then all of a sudden it blew up so huge here in Korea.
Yeah.
And we were very fortunate to get into that scene decently early. And as you mentioned before, me and Monte Cristo, we did the VIPL over here. So much fun to cast this game.
Yeah.
Especially compared to other games. I love casting it. You're going to have a blast, Wolf. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm really, really hyped. You know, as you mentioned, our Invitational League actually takes place here in Korea, so all the best players around the world travel to Korea to play in this tournament. But now we're going to have a different Invitational League in China. We're going to find out the best Chinese players. Many of them have already represented, you know, China in the Invitational League that happens here in Korea, and probably some of the ones that do well in this tournament will make their way to Korea here as well.
Yeah, no, it definitely could happen. As you mentioned, lots of teams coming over here. We had Gangstars coming up here from NA. We had guys like Unknown coming here from EU last time. So it's really cool to have leagues like this over here in Asia.
Well, it looks like we're actually going to take a look at the introduction video here for this Chinese league. So enjoy it, and we'll be back soon. So what we're taking a look at here, guys, is the opening show here in China. So they're actually having a big ceremony, as obviously this is celebrating the launch of Vainglory in China. Even though it was launched about a week ago, this is the big celebration event. So we got fans all over China coming to watch this live. And this is a pretty cool light show. So.
Yeah. China is actually very famous for doing these kinds of light shows at their big events, and generally it's very entertaining to watch. I'm not going to spoil anything, but definitely lots of other entertaining things going to be coming out on stage after the light show as well. So you guys definitely want to stay tuned for this.
Sure.
Of course, after all of this, we'll have the big introduction and then get into those matches. If that's what you're looking to watch, then, you know, stay tuned. Definitely take a look at this introduction as well. But, you know, the games are going to come a little bit later.
Yeah, it's going to take a little bit more time, obviously, as we're kind of getting through this really cool light show. The technology that we have for light shows like this in 2015 is actually pretty incredible. I'm actually enjoying this quite a lot.
I actually like that we get to commentate over this as well.
Yeah.
We get the guys now. I just noticed that light guy behind the light now. He's going to do a little dance for us. He's going to be entertaining.
Yeah. I think he's like doing that with I just personally dictated, though, what I thought was the case. Now, no doubt the middle light guy is actually a lane player. Probably,
yeah.
He's probably the guy that just locks in Ringo without finding out what anybody else wants to play when he's playing Ring. He just locks in Ringo.
Oh,
Even if he was like AFK, he left his tablet and he was like getting a drink of water, and he came back and there was already an Adagio with Lane on it locked in. He just insta-locked Ringo and put his name as Lane.
Force that Adagio right where he belongs, straight into that realm position. That's what you gotta do, Wolf.
We've seen this before. I'm sure everyone who's played Vainglory has seen that before.
Yeah. Especially if you're playing on some of those lower levels. It's always Ringo, too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's other things. Like, I've noticed a resurgence of Jungle Arden as well, or Jungle Catherine, where they're just like, okay, lock in that hero immediately, and then they put the little jungle sign above it, and you're like, oh, okay, I see.
I mean, it's fine if you lock in fast, right? Especially in the Asian servers, a lot of people really respect who locks in first. As, you know, say I locked in first, so that means, like, I got it first, so everyone just kind of lets it go. But don't be that guy that after somebody already locked in, you come in like 10 seconds later and just insta-lock and put. Don't quiz me on this music. I don't know. I know the song, but I don't know who it is.
All right, we'll just assume for now. I kind of feel like we're talking over the music. Maybe we should let it just play out here a little bit, Wolf.
Sure. Now you'll notice, if you're really focusing hard, that the Vainglory logo is up at the top. That's what the
Yeah,
lights are
if you're
beaming
paying
up.
attention, you would have noticed that for
Yeah.
sure.
If you look closely, you can see it's a very cool logo.
And I hope we have someone in the chat, you know, hi Twitch chat, that knows a little bit of Chinese, maybe can translate the bottom right for you guys and let you know what that means.
It probably says something like Vainglory, really awesome light show.
Yeah, for sure, yeah. I think that's what those first two characters actually say. It's really awesome.
It could also be Vainglory, really awesome opening ceremony.
Could be, could be. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Here we
okay.
go.
Let's let them enjoy this show.
Yeah.
It's the B-Boy show.
Yeah, that's the official title for this. So enjoy, guys.
Shawty, we finna go to the club and get crunk with Britney. Hey! Thinks she fine enough to blow your mind. She thinks she bad. Get on the floor and say that. One way up.
Say let it go.
So we're going to segue now, after that really cool performance, into an interview with some Chinese executives. Now, unfortunately for you guys, we don't have a translator, and although Valdez and I are both pretty good at Korean, Chinese is not our strong suit.
Yeah, so hopefully, as I said before, you guys could have someone that you know that could possibly translate this for you guys in the chat. And I guess just stay tuned and watch the interviews.
And I know a lot of you guys are really excited to get the matches started, but this is, like I said before, this is a really official ceremony, and you know it's an exciting event to celebrate the launch of Vainglory in China. So I know most of you guys tuning into this stream, watching us right now, are global fans who just want to see high-level Chinese play. That is coming. Just be a little bit more patient.
You
And
gotta
hang
put
in
your
there.
patient pants on.
Yes.
And just listen to the interviews. And that'll be that, pretty much.
If I had to guess what they're saying, they're most likely talking about how awesome Vainglory is and how many people are already playing it. Because that's what I'd be saying.
Yeah,
I think I even said that already.
I think they're just stealing your lines, Wolf. Actually, you gotta get someone on this.
Well, as you guys can see, let's check out this awesome stage, by the way. You can see that behind them, you do have the player, what we normally call player booths. In this case, it's just like more like a seating area, 3v3 signs with the V logos. Really, really cool. So, anyways, as I mentioned before, this will be starting up pretty soon. Stage is pretty cool, though, and as you can see behind the V's, there's actually a place where the heroes, when they get locked in, will be shown.
And again, just small interviews here with famous people in China. Looks like there was a girl group there, as well as just people involved in Vainglory. You just saw Hunter's Queen right there.
Yeah, if you've seen the Vainglory Invitational Premier League, you've definitely seen Queen before, and just all sorts of esports figures getting involved in Vainglory from China. If you've been following Chinese esports, then you definitely probably recognize a lot of these faces.
And again, I think it's just talking about how on November 20th, this is all starting up here. There's a big event to kick off, I suppose, a week after the servers did launch, just to get a big event here to say, hey, Vainglory's big in China. You should watch these matches.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely tweet at us, by the way. I am Proxy Wolf. He is Brendan Valdez. We'd love to hear what you guys think, as well as if any technical problems arise. That would definitely be the best way to get in contact with us, and then we can jump straight into getting that solved for you guys, because production is right across from us, and can just tell them via sign language what is going on.
Yeah. And as we mentioned before, Wolf, you're new to casting Vainglory, but you do a lot of other games over here in Korea. You do StarCraft 2.
That's right.
Lots of other stuff here. And I do the VIPL over here in Korea with Monte Cristo, and also do StarCraft 2 with you. Actually, you are my co-commentator.
That's right. We work together on StarCraft 2. I also do cover a lot of other games here in Korea. But it looks like we're going to be hearing from some of our game developers.
So let's hear what they have to say.
Yeah. Oh, we're on camera. We jumped in there.
Here we are.
So, welcome back. And there seem to be some issues setting up the game, which, obviously with a tournament of this scale is going to happen a lot when you have so many different devices being connected into, you've got, like, say someone wants to play on their, Galaxy S4, and someone's playing on their iPhone, someone's playing on their iPad, you could have everything set up to make sure no one is lagging. You get on that, tournament client, everything is clean, no problems going on, and I'm not sure what happened with the developer interview, but no doubt we'll get the chance to look at that later.
Probably just some connection issues, of course, over here casting in Korea for you guys, but the tournament is actually happening in Shanghai, so going across the water, China's still developing as an esports nation, so trying to get that all done And I'm sure we'll have those interviews in just a minute. We'll just have to fill time here for a very short time before we get into that.
That's right. So again, this is the Chinese players that we have invited here. We've got a ton of teams and 2 groups. So a really sick lineup of players. We're going to find out which ones are good, which ones are obviously all these teams are good, right? Because they got invited to this tournament, so they're some of the best teams in China. But we're going to find out which ones are the best. There's a big difference between being really good and being the best. And that's what this group stage that we're going to jump into soon is really going to show us.
Yeah, I mean, that happened over here in Korea as well. A very, very new game. Some of the teams that got through the qualifiers, they were good teams. They were very decent teams, but then once they hit some of the hard hitters like Gangstars, you got Hunters from China, they just weren't a match because those teams have been practicing for so long, whereas some of these new teams are still just getting into the game.
That's right, but don't forget that even though the Chinese server has only officially been released very recently, that doesn't mean that there were not a ton of players in China playing on other regions nearby, such as the SEA region, to practice, because it was where they had the ability to kind of practice with other players that with a little bit of lag, but still get things done before the Chinese servers came out. So now these guys are going to get terrifying because they can play on their own ping.
Oh yeah.
With such a great population of players.
Yeah, imagine like the team like Hunters, they were pretty much exclusively practicing on a totally different server for such a long time. And then they come over here and they're that good, even though they practice only on lag. So as you mentioned before, now they have their own server. China's going to explode for Vainglory. For all you Vainglory fans, you're like, is China going to be good? The answer is yes.
Yeah.
That's the way it's going to go.
If you look at the success of China and other esports as well, it usually tends to be that as soon as the official server is released, China does jump up there with other powerhouses such as Korea and oftentimes Europe as well, depending on what game we're talking about. But I think that China will very quickly catch up because Vainglory as a pro game, professional game in esports is actually very new. And I think the gap to close is a lot smaller than sometimes when you have a game released in China that comes out much later.
Yeah, that's very true. And Vainglory as a game is also very, very competitive. Like you're not using a mouse and keyboard anymore. It's kind of a different, entirely new skill set. You got to use your fingers, right?
It's very tactile in that way.
It's like a lot of players are not used to this. So the players that do get used to it faster are obviously going to have a big competitive edge early on. And it's also very exciting to have something incredibly new like this. You have other games such as Hearthstone on mobile, but it's not this like fast action, MOBA style type of game that Vainglory is.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting to me in that factor.
Vainglory is very technical, Like I said, it's easy to learn, but very difficult to master. So when you take a skill shot, for example, in the game, you really have to aim that. You really have to mean it.
Oh, yeah.
And if you
you
press,
have to mean it when you send out
if
that,
you press
that
your A
move.
and it's a skill shot, you better be ready to cancel it. If you accidentally click it, man, you're wasting it. And obviously, it's a game where some people really prefer a bigger screen because you have like somewhat of a wider field of view.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's easier to hit some of the logos on the screen. But some people prefer a smaller screen because they don't have to think about how far their fingers are moving, from one click to another. As we saw some of the screenshots earlier, a lot of people play with their fingers on one side of the screen each so that they can quickly go back and forth and kind of basically position themselves in lane or in the jungles where they're approaching, but they can always take a step back with their right finger, for example.
Yeah, and of course you got to do that when you're stutter stepping as well. You're using a melee hero. You got to attack and then move because you got to be moving in between attacks in order to stay close. That's one of the most exciting parts for me when I'm watching like very high level technical play. You had guys over here like Araki Zoro playing Ringo at the VIPL. His stutter step micro was insanity. It was just amazing to watch, and that's always something for me when I'm watching pro gaming is watching like the best of the best do the hardest thing in the game, because I know when I'm playing, I'm a decent player at games, but I can't really get to that level.
Sure.
So it's always awesome to watch some of these pro gamers to pull something like that off.
Yeah, it goes back to the fact that we're using such a unique device for this. It's not just simply you right click on your mouse and right click on the hero. You're actually using your fingers.
Yeah.
So that adds an extra level of complexity because of the mouse. To move a mouse pointer from one location to the other, say from the right side of the screen to the left side of the screen, your mouse has to physically be dragged from one location to the other. There's no jumping. Whereas in this case, you can use such precise movement on exactly which angle you want to go to at any time with just a touch of your finger. You don't have to drag. There's no physical restraints to how you can move from one side to the other. So there's no best way or no perfectly correct way to move. It's all up to you. It's all up to your personal preference.
Yeah, players are still figuring that out. As you said before, playing on the iPhone with a stylus. Some players prefer that. Some prefer the big wide open space of like an iPad Pro or something like that. So it's pretty cool to see all these differences in this new game of Vainglory.
Absolutely. So I think we are actually going to jump into some of the design teams and take a look at what they have to say.
我来给他的翻译啊，他的名字呢叫 Bo Daly， 他是那个虚荣的开发商，Super Evil 的创始人和 CEO。
Thank you. 谢谢，谢谢。Before we begin, I want to say a few words of thanks. First of all, I want to thank Giant for putting on this incredible event and having me here today to be a part of this. I'd also like to thank the media for supporting Vainglory as it's grown to become one of the hottest and most widely kind of held, highly regarded games here in China.
在他开始之前呢，他想说一些感谢的话。首先感谢金融网络呢举办了这样一个令人振奋的一个赛事。另外呢，感谢就所有的媒体朋友们呢，帮助虚荣呢成长成为一个非常火爆的，而且是受到玩家好评的产品。
Most importantly, though, I want to thank you, the players and the fans, who've come out here to see the games and also have believed in us as we've grown. It's been incredible, and really the truth of the matter is that you're the reason that we exist. You're the reason that we're here. You're the reason that we work so hard to make Vainglory as great as it is.
最重要的是感谢所有的玩家，包括我们的虚荣的粉丝，今天过来呢见证这样一个非常精彩的赛事。其实你们呢才是我们作为 Super Evil 的一切，只有是你们使他们那么样努力的工作，把虚荣打造成一个伟大的产品。
谢谢 all of you. When I started Super Evil Megacorp about 4 years ago, we had a vision to bring something very, very different to touchscreens. A new kind of game that no one had really ever seen or even believed existed or could possibly exist on mobile and tablet devices. But games that were very similar to what existed already on PC. Games that, in short, really truly matter to players. Games that respect players for their skill, for the amount of time and dedication that they put in. And Vainglory is our first attempt at building that for touchscreens. We think the future is very bright for mobile gaming.
有点长啊，我当然我能都记住啊。他的意思就是说呢，他在4年之前呢，就是创办了这个公司。从公司开始伊始呢，他就希望做一个完全不同的产品，主要是在触摸屏，就是那个 Pad 加那个手机上面的这样一个游戏。他们呢想做一个完全不同的一个游戏。他想就是说达到这样一个游戏的品质能够达到在 PC 上的一个最优秀游戏能够达到的一个品质。这样的话呢，就是说玩家呢就像在乎一些最伟大的 PC 游戏一样，去在乎虚荣这样一个产品。
In order to build a very different kind of a mobile game, we had to actually first build a very different kind of mobile game studio. We're actually, our name is Super Evil Megacorp, but we're not a very big company. We don't have 100 games in 100 different app stores. We build one game, and we work as hard as we can to make it truly great and to satisfy the needs of the most sophisticated gamers in the world. And you, Chinese players, are some of the most sophisticated players in the world.
他这个尽管他公司的名字叫 Super Evil Megacorp， 就是中文翻起来就是说一个超级恶魔的一个大公司。其实呢，他们是一个比较小的公司，他们呢也没有说有100个产品在100个应用商店里面，他们只是有这样一个产品，有一些非常天才的这样一个游戏工匠在打造一个，他希望能够成为让玩家在乎、能够非常优秀的一个手机游戏的产品。
In a lot of ways, we don't think of ourselves at all as a mobile game company. We think of ourselves as a next generation gaming company, because I believe the future of gaming is on touchscreen devices.
他们的愿景并不是说他只是做一个手机游戏，他认为他是要做一个次世代的一个游戏。他认为就是说在就是触摸屏 Pad 和手机这个平台上会产生一个伟大的产品。
And we've been thrilled to find in Giant a partner that believes in the same future that we believe in, and is willing to build something very different with us. In Vainglory, we're building not only a game, but we're building a community.
在这个选择合作伙伴上面，他们之所以选择巨人网络呢，主要是因为巨人网络在一些对将未来游戏行业的发展上面有共同的观点，大家都非常希望说，透过巨人这个产品，把这个游戏玩家的社区建立起来。
And for Vainglory, community really is everything. Whether we're talking about players getting together to chat online about the best strategies, whether we're talking about players getting together in the real world to play with their friends at coffee shops or PC cafes that really don't need PCs anymore, or whether we're actually gathered in an esports stadium and everyone is holding their breath, waiting for that perfect gank to unfold. It's really, everything is better when we play together.
Yeah. 他说，对于虚荣这个产品来讲，其实社区是最重要的。无论是大家在网络上去讨论怎么样是最好的一个战略去战胜对手，还是说大家会聚集在咖啡厅啊或者网吧里面共同玩游戏，甚至于来参加这样一个电子竞技的这样一个赛事，然后大家能够在游戏中能够 gank 对方，感到非常的兴奋。反正就他觉得。只有这个社区的一个很好的发展，才能带动虚荣到一个更高的高度。
And today we're here to honor the most skilled portion of our Vainglory community, the truly elite esports competitors.
今天呢，他就是要针对就是我们虚荣的玩家用户群当中水平最高的这些电竞选手，我们来对他们加以表达敬意。
And of course, in esports and in Vainglory esports, China is already a powerhouse. So whether we're talking about the great Hunters team here, or who've really led and been tremendous on the international scene, playing in the Korean International Premier League.
他说呢，就是对中国来讲，电子竞技已经成为一个发动机。其实我们有非常优秀的选手和战队，比方讲这个是 Hunters 战队。他们已经在那个虚荣的在韩国举行的国际赛事中取得了非常好的成绩。
And of course, let's not forget about a team called VON. VON is a group of Chinese nationals living in the United States who are arguably one of the very best teams in North America.
当然，他说我们还不能忘记有另外一个战队，它的名字叫 VON。这个战队是在美国，但是他们全是由中国的选手组成的。他们大概是在北最好的 Vainglory 的战队。
And of course, this weekend we'll find out who the next great Chinese Vainglory competitive team will be. So the team that wins this tournament will be seeded into the Vainglory International Premier League to compete in Korea.
他说呢，透过这几天赛事呢，我们会产生另一位优胜者，然后这个优胜者呢会代表中国和 Hunters 一起参加在韩国举行的 Vainglory 的国际锦标赛。
So I'm very excited to see who it's going to be. We don't know yet, but one thing is certain: this is a great time to be a Vainglory player in China.
他也非常愿意跟所有的在座的这个观众共同见证一个新的一个优胜战队的产生。
Ultimately, we're at the beginning of a very long road, but the future is very bright for us. I think together we're going to climb to great new heights as a community. Thank you for being a part of this journey with us. Good luck to all of the competitors who are playing today. 谢谢。
他说就是说对于 Vainglory 虚荣在中国来讲，我们只是一个非常长阶的刚刚开始。他希望说大家作为游戏社区的一个成员，共同见证呢虚荣能够更上一个台阶。然后预祝所有今天的在座的那个观众开心，然后是战队能够取得好的成绩。谢谢。
Good luck.
谢谢。
哇哦，谢谢蒙德里的精彩发言，也
谢谢
有请回
All right,
席观
guys.
礼。
So that concludes our interview with the Super Evil Megacorp CEO. A lot of really positive things to say about the future. But next up, we're going to take a look at a cosplay event. So maybe some of your favorite characters will appear here on stage.
Just maybe so, Wolf. You could almost guarantee it here. So if you're a fan of cosplay at all, especially Vainglory cosplay, definitely stay tuned here, guys. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely. I think we might be able to commentate a little bit over that. Maybe we could be the judges of this cosplay, Valdez.
All right, let's do it.
Oh, check it out.
Oh boy. that's Taka there.
Yeah,
on the right.
Taka, very recognizable. Celeste as well.
This is
Catherine,
I believe.
yeah.
Nice big shield. What would you say for this one, Wolf?
I would definitely have to give this one a high rating. Definitely looks like the type of cosplay that if it put its barrier up, I definitely would want to stay far away from it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. For sure. Maybe 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd say that's about sound. Now this one, let's see if he's got the. Is he gonna go in the box?
If he had a box man, this guy gets like at least 9.
He does show us some pretty cool maneuverability here though. And is he barefoot? Not quite. I'll say it's not easy doing that on a slippery floor like
He's
that.
got little straps down there to hold him in place.
I have to give the lead though to that cosplay. That was awesome. And Vox.
Oh boy. This is pretty good actually.
Yeah, I have to say.
See
Looks
if he
like
does
just
some
like
action
him.
shots, actually, before we give him too high of a rating.
I want to see that Sonic Zoom. Not gonna do it. I thought he was gonna jump back and like lasers are gonna shoot out of the crowd.
That would have been pretty cool.
Now his sister, Celeste, is gonna make an appearance. So Celeste looks really good. I gotta give Celeste. That looks pretty legit.
For sure, lots of work put into that staff.
他伸出手在空中打着转，那点缀在城市上空的星星静静地呼唤着他。
There you go.
他终于重新找回了自我，创造属于自己的魔
Liking the
法
hair
和
as
艺术
well.
Yeah,
给自己
looks
带来
really
光、
cool.
快乐和温暖的力量。猫女
What we
Koska，
got here, Wolf? It looks
人
like
类
it's
本是
Koshka
可悲的生物，
coming
在
up on
Koska 抚
stage.
养者的眼里，他
Very
们的狡
cool.
诈与野心和生存意识
Looks very
总是
dangerous.
不成正比。
Keep those
然
claws
而，当他
away.
被选择义无反顾地走向无情的
Would
世
not want to
界
be touched by
终于学
those.
会了
No.
不带一丝恐惧。这神
Not a
经
very
质的狸猫
huggable
它总是
cosplay,
任
but
意一边而战，它没有
Very
也
well
不是
done,
为了
nonetheless. My favorite still has to
陌
be
生
the
人请小
Taka
心
though.，
科斯卡对自己
Yeah, I
的
like
玩
the
具
Taka.
可是
Celeste is
很
pretty good
无
too.
情的。
Yeah. For me, I'm like, I don't know. Catherine's like also really
最
good.
枪手林格，他手持2把左轮
Looks
手
like it's
枪，
Ringo.
一把名为信
Coming
仰
down，here.
另一把
That is a
名为
really
自由。
big gun.
蹒跚着最
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
尽
He
管
might
被无
crit
数
you.
卑劣的眼
Gotta
眸
be
注视
careful
着，
where
他
you
还是
swing
依
that
旧有
thing.
自己偏干的赌博方式
He's。got the gourd
身
as
体
well.
在空中翻腾，弹孔发
in
出
case he
微
gets
弱的哨
thirsty.
声，子弹带起不羁的飓风，他就是林格。
That
Versus
hair
on her
though.
arm, that's the question.
I have to say the hair was a bit out there on that one.
哇，我们可以看到这些 cos
All right, well, now we've taken a look at all the cosplay. I don't know if there's a winner or anything like that, but who's your favorite actually?
I don't know. I like Celeste actually. I'll give it to Celeste.
I'm gonna have to go with Taka, but you know, notable mentions definitely Catherine,
Oh yeah, Catherine was good too.
and I like the box. But
他们分别是
we're gonna be introducing the players here in just a moment,
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna come out here right now.
one by one.
Let's see which team we are going to introduce first.
It's gonna be guest.
欢迎
Nice.
Guest。
欢迎
So guest consisting of little Andy, BNG, and Anthony.
Otherwise
Out
known
here.
as AAA Anthony.
Yeah.
Next team coming out now is going to be ETW, easy to win, as they like to call themselves.
ETW。
接下来让我
I
们
don't
有
know
请
if they're
来
easy
助
to
战
win
队有请
against or if they're going to have easy wins against their opponents. We'll have to wait and see, Wolf.
That we will have to wait and see. Now our next team coming up here is going to be IDO. Really cool logo. Falcons taking the O.
Yeah. Eating that up like a Cheerio. And of course, possibly the most hyped team coming out here for day one is going to be, of course, DMD Damage. DMG, rather. Of course, Godfather there in the middle.
Yeah, Godfather, definitely the most recognizable player probably in this entire tournament just based on his performance in the VIPL alone.
Now we're getting some of the teams here from day number 2 that are going to be coming out tomorrow, guys.
Yeah. Mustang will be the first of said teams.
Having the only female player in the entire tournament, Susu.
That's right. Queen will not be participating in this tournament in particular. Now, Tireless Valor, otherwise known as TVT, showing up. StarCraft fans might think that's a funny name.
Might find another reference to that one, yeah, for sure. Now, team number 7 coming out here. It's going to be Delta.
Yep. Calling themselves Delta because they feel like all three of them are super essential, like members of a triangle working together.
Yeah, and they're all-around players. They can play any position.
So as you guys can see, we have a ton of players for this tournament. Up next is going to be Codename L with Leo, Loli, and Ken rounding it out.
Yeah, you would think that, you know, maybe it would be 3 players starting with the first letter L, but Ken has to come in and ruin that. It's okay, K is right next to L, so it's fine.
That's totally fine. 100%. Right next to on the
那接
keyboard
下
too.
来就让我们有请出今天的各位领导以及来宾，他们分
So
别是
there you go. Those are our 8 teams coming out here. Lots of fantastic players. I'm sure you guys, if you're paying attention to Chinese esports, know quite a few of those, and we'll learn a lot more about them in the coming days.
It looks like we're going to introduce our Chinese commentators, I believe. Maybe not, actually, not quite yet, sorry.
Let me just introduce
I thought I
you to
recognized
me.
it, but I didn't
出
see.
直播 POU 董事长。接下来有请我们的礼仪小姐推上
All right, so looks like a ton of staff reps,
大家回头
maybe
看。
the Vainglory, or rather the Super Evil Megacorp Chinese staff coming out here now on stage, of course, with the CEO as
今天
well.
我们开幕式的
It's
重
possible.
磅的，
I
大家回
recognize some
头
of those
看。
guys from the video as well. Maybe just some more famous people involved with Vainglory in general.
And, you know, Chinese esports leaders. So now we're going to have our official opening ceremony
哇哦，
as
有请我们所有的来
the
宾。
vain bulb, if you will, is being put out on stage.
Yes, the vein bulb. Channel that power, channel your energy, guy on the right.
I saw that. Very funny. Now, my biggest hope is that in a moment they're all going to touch it and then
谢
it'll
谢
light
各
up.
位观众朋友们，欢迎切换到游戏
see
风
what's
云
gonna happen.
虎牙直播
Looks like you can tell the future, Wolf.
Oh my
because that's
god,
exactly what's happening.
That's what happened.
直播多多媒体直播，继续观看，
That's
感谢
really
各
cool.
位。
马上我们就将为各位带来我们的揭幕战。
This is such a cool stage. I can't wait till the games start.
ETW
I
战
know
队。
many of you feel the same way.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just want to see like how this production really is going to all line up when, you know, shots start flying. We've got, you know, jungle invades, we've got, you know, people trying to get the Kraken.
Vainglory, World Invitational.
Ready?
Vainglory.
There we go. We're back, everybody. It's time to tell you guys a little bit about this tournament, break down the information, the prize pool, and the teams.
Yeah, we're going to get into that in just a moment here. So excited to get into this. We're finally getting close to starting the games, guys. So all you guys who have been waiting, now's your chance to tell your friends to get in here, watch the stream, watch the games. It's going to be the highest level Chinese Vainglory that we do have to date.
That's absolutely right, and you guys saw, we're not teasing you, it's going to start soon. You saw the players sitting in their chairs with their devices, ready to go, practicing, warming up, getting ready. So this is going to be starting up all very soon. So this is, if you guys have just tuned in, or if you're a little bit later, the Chinese Vainglory Invitational. We're going to take a look at that overview now. Finally, it's all set and ready for you guys to go. It's going to be a round-robin group stage with a best-of-2 format, meaning the winner, if you win, only one game will get 1 point. If you win 2-0, you get 3. If you lose, you get nothing.
Yeah, and of course, semifinals and finals going to be best-of-3, best-of-5, respectively. That will be on Sunday. And of course, the prize pool, so much money coming into this, 420,000 RMB. That is a lot of money if you go ahead and do the conversion online. 200,000 going to the first place.
And more important for many people than the money for winning first place, you will also get directly seeded into the VIPL Season 2, which is going to be, of course, the best, Vainglory season that we've had since Season 1, right? It's going to be the highest level play. And as you can see, the teams that are participating, we'll go through them really quick. DMG, CNL, TVT, ETW, Mustang, Guest, Delta, and IDO. 8 great teams, and we're going to find out which one is the greatest. Here are our groups.
Yeah. Group A is going to be Guest, DMG, IDO, and ETW. That will all be played today, as we mentioned, the round-robin format. Each team has to play each other team twice, so it's going to be a total of 12 games coming in here. And 6 matches.
Yep. So taking a look at those matches right now, we're going to have Guest versus ETW first, then Guest versus IDO, and then DMG will play against IDO as well. So let's take a look at these players getting ready right now. We're going to introduce them, starting with Remix. The Rome here for easy to win.
Yeah, likes to play Catherine and Arden. Makes sense, 2 of the top tier Rome heroes in the game so far.
That's right.
Looks like he likes playing on a pillow here, not necessarily a desk.
Yeah, everyone has their preferences about these sorts of things. I actually like to play on my bed with my back to the headboard with a pillow in my lap. That's my preferred play. But here is AAA Anthony from Guest. He's lane/jungle, so a bit of a filler role. Likes his Koshka as well as his Ringo.
Yeah, Koshka very strong these days. Ringo as well, a very solid hero. Very high skill cap as well, so excited to see what he can do on both of those.
So again, things are heated up here this first game. Everyone's getting to the lobby. We're getting ready before we go into our picks. Take a look here at Ji Fang. He's playing jungle.
Yeah, Shifeng coming in here.
That's right.
From China. Playing that jungle like Glaive, Koshka, and Vox, which is funny because Vox can be played in the jungle, but also his teammates, AAA Anthony, or Anthony as I like to call him, does like to play both positions. So we could see the Vox in the lane or maybe even the jungle as well.
Yeah, and it can also sometimes be swaps where you have a Vox that starts in the jungle and then it rotates up into lane or vice versa. It's something that we have seen before. Jungle Vox definitely, I'd say, more popular in solo queue with that one guy who just really wants to play Vox, but lane was taken, so eventually he has to kind of give up and give it to jungle. But we'll see if he can actually make that viable here at the professional stage. Here is Beyond G, who's playing Rome. A brief shot of him there.
Yeah, and going over to his teammate. Looks like it's...
He's like, put my Shiji up. All right, it's Jifeng again.
wait, okay, interesting. Yeah, so the first matchup is between ETW and Guest, of course. So it looks like we may have had a little bit of a mix-up with the CGs, in fact.
Yeah, looks like that may, in fact, be the case. But don't worry, all will be sorted out. All will be fixed in the next coming moments. So get excited because we're getting down now to the nitty-gritty of it. It's been a long opening ceremony. You know, some people are into that kind of thing. Some people are just, I just want to see the game.
Yeah.
We're almost there.
This used to be a Vainglory stream. I saw that guy.
We saw that guy. It still is a Vainglory stream. Obviously, you know, this is, again, a very ceremonious sort of occasion where we're celebrating the start of Vainglory in China, which is, if you guys know your geography, know your history, a huge region, a massive population. So we're bringing so many more gamers to the table now, and as such, I feel like this region may become the strongest very quickly.
Yeah.
You know, trying to compete with Korea and America, for example.
A lot of games that open, when they eventually do open in China, they really want to be successful because, as you mentioned, just so many people will play the game. They'll get so many eyes on the game as well. So Vainglory opening in China is a gigantic deal if you are a Vainglory fan or player or whatever.
That's right. If you love this game, you definitely want more people, you know, around the world playing it. You want a lot more people talking about it, and spread the word again about this stream. I know that it's in a weird time zone for some people. This is a Chinese league, so it's like in China time, and we're broadcasting it from Korea, so it seems all very complicated. But definitely, you know, spread the word. Tell people to go to the Twitch stream at OGN Global. And again, as I mentioned before, but I know a lot of you are kind of trickling in over time, hit us up on Twitter. I'm Proxy Wolf. He's Brendan Valdez. We'd love to hear what you guys think.
Yeah, if you want to commentate on our casting or you want to say, you know, hey, there's a problem with the stream, you can go ahead and do that there. That's probably the easiest, you know, streamlined way to get in contact with us, the easiest way to do that. So definitely hit us up there.
Yeah, especially, as I mentioned before, if there's like a big technical problem, you know, because if, you know, suddenly the stream is going off or something like that and we can't see that, you know, we can get fixing on that right away. Or if there's any audio issues, because again, you know, we're just commentators, we're not monitoring that sort of thing. But we'd love to hear your feedback and all things regarding, you know, the stream. So the players are looking like they are still setting up and getting ready. Obviously, this is a game that is a team game. It's a 3v3 game, so voice communication is very important. You need to make sure that you've got the right audio levels, that everyone's mic's working, that your opponent's team can't hear what you're saying. Yeah. You know, those sorts of things, as well as make sure that the device that you're using is calibrated. Because I mean, I don't personally know exactly the rules for this, but no doubt if someone says I play on an iPhone 5. They like don't get to play on their own iPhone 5. They have to be given and brought that specific device. Make sure that that device isn't running any sort of third party or anything like that. So just making sure everything is legit. So obviously that takes time as well.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time. And as we do have a lot of time, the CG is not very important. We do want to, of course, make sure we're introducing the correct players, so they are a bit important, but I'm more excited to see like which one of these teams is going to win and actually being a strong team. Just looking at some of the introductions we have for the team and some of their team information, it says that Guess is a brand new team in the field. They treat each other as a family and as good friends.
That's right.
They want to gain fame, you know, together, growing as a team from Vainglory. So maybe not a team that's been practicing for a super long time, but it seems like they are pretty driven to do well here in Vainglory.
Yeah, it's almost like the reason why they chose the name Guest is because they all feel like they're playing with unknown members. Like the team came together basically from meeting online and kind of like running into each other on the ladder, if you will. So, you know, you build a team like that, that's really cool. You know, it's like you might as well be like guest 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in the you know in the game. That's the idea behind the team, right? It's like we're playing with strangers. Now we're no longer strangers. We're a team, and that's really cool. And you know, as the CEO was saying earlier, Vainglory is all about community. It's all about bringing people together and building a scene. Like you said, whether it's you know you're talking to your party chat or your guild, you know, it's a just recently added feature, or you're on the forums, or you're on Reddit, you know, or you're in Twitch chat. So let's go ahead and jump into our picks, our drafting phase here. We're about to go into games, so we're going to take a look at that now. All right, so bans, we got a Koshka ban and a Finn ban right off the bat here.
Yeah, and we actually already have Team ETW down there in the bottom remix, Ernst and Shifeng, picking their heroes, Arden, Scarf, and Rona.
A solid composition, and on the top side of things, we're starting to see the locks in on.
We do have Celeste, Sky, and it looks like Arden. They're actually didn't get a
part of my screen got
fully
blocked
there.
off there.
We're jumping back and forth, guys. But as everything is picked and the game is loading up, I'll sure we'll be in there soon enough.
That's right. So it looks like the drafts are complete. What do you think of the composition so far?
I would have loved to see, you know, make sure that was Arden up there in the top. Did you get a good look at that?
I think it was, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So we'll have to wait and see. But it makes sense if it were him, right?
Yeah, I mean, talking about well, we're going back to China here, guys, and it looks like we are going to jump into this game very shortly. And taking a look at the compositions once again, it was Arden on both sides.
All right, so it looks like we are jumping right into the game here. Looks like we are about 44 seconds in.
Already starting to lane up a bit here, trade back and forth. You do, of course, have this matchup between Guess and ETW.
Otherwise known as Easy to Win. And we do have a little bit of a skirmish going down here at the shop. As we do have the scout traps placed. Just going to set those off to try to remove vision carefully. I think there'll be too many commitments here.
Yeah.
Actually going to be a big engagement.
There we go, we got the fight going off.
And it's actually now going to be a 3v2 and a huge hit there from Celeste. And wow, a first kill here early on from Guest. And they're actually going to turn this fight into potentially an ace if Ernst does not get out of there.
Just diving a little bit too far forward there was Remix going down very early. Shifeng with the follow-up. And just a little bit of better teamwork there, I'd have to say, from Guest. You know, a much faster response from the Celeste to make that a 3-on-2 early on.
Yeah, also linking up the Heliogenesis, really doing that extra damage, working out for them in a huge favor. And oh man, just going to set another trap, and Remix getting way ahead of himself. Just as you guys could see here, going to be another easy kill, and Shifeng also needs to get out of there.
It looks like he just wanted to clean up the minion camp instead because he knew he could get out here. Uh-oh, Celeste getting a little bit trapped there by the goop, but tons of damage coming out. Another Heliogenesis does land, but Rona will jump out of there.
So nice disengage this time, but still a very early 3-0 lead here. And we'll see if they can actually continue that. Easy to Win having a bit of a rough start here. Often, I guess, pushing a bit too far into the jungle without support, without vision.
Definitely most important part there, you know, just going in as two members into your enemy side of the jungle is never a great idea unless you're 100% certain you're going to pick up a kill. And as we said before, you know, part of this is very fun as a lot of these players are pretty unknown. We don't know how they're going to do well together as a team, so we really get the first look into some, you know, great play out of Guest and maybe not the most solid play so far from ETW, but we'll have to wait and see if they clean it up a bit and can do better here in the mid game.
One of Easy to Win's, like, basically their philosophies, their formula is no excuses for losing, and definitely, you know, after an early deficit like this, I don't think they're going to get angry or frustrated. They're definitely just going to say, all right, no excuses. We made some mistakes. Let's try to turn it around. Okay, here we go. A big push forward here by Guest. And actually jumping to the other side here. And Arden coming in with a shield, but getting very low. And down he goes.
Yeah, now look at this Sky all alone. The chase is on forward barrage to try to just push them back and get some damage down. And now with the threat of Celeste behind them, it's going to be hard to push forward, but they're carefully doing so.
Yep, and oh, down. Sky is going to go. Oh, actually maybe get a kill before she goes down. Does not happen. And little Andy does escape. Missing a few Heliogenesis there. Really good movements by Easy to Win to avoid those. And ends up being a 2-kill trade for free, basically, not a trade at all. Oh, but down goes Scar from the top lane. A little Andy came and got him. I feel like some of the things we're seeing from Easy to Win with some of their players is sometimes just being too greedy, trying to get either jungle minions or go back to lane without support, getting punished for it.
Yeah, and you can see Shifeng very confidently attacking Celeste. They're already picking up 2 light shields and an Oak-Heart, so very, very tanky. He's got some other items in there as well to do some damage for himself, but going to be that kind of bruiser type where you can take a lot of damage but also jump onto your opponents and you know, take a lot of damage as well.
Sure. You see little Andy still trying to poke here and bully Shifeng in the lane. He's got a lot of mana to do so, or energy rather. As we see a scout trap does go off here at the shop. It looks like they may try to push for the gold mine as they have vision. They're all 3 here.
Yeah, they're definitely thinking about it. It's very early on, but you want to get control of that gold mine, have it fight for you and not against you. You know, the gold is a nice added bonus, but sometimes, depending on, you know, if you're an early game composition or not, you definitely want to get that on your side. Regardless.
It gives you such a momentum boost in the early game if you can grab it early, because it puts pressure on your opponent, whereas you don't have to worry about it as much, and you can just simply go back to lane, for example, rotate down if needed if you get vision. Now, little Andy is coming up here. Does miss the stun there, but does put a lot of poke damage on, and his teammates are ready to back him up. He actually baits them out here a little bit, and they are in the bush. Sky bursting out a ton of damage. Look at Heliogenesis hitting Remix as well. This is going to be a great trade. Maybe just what they need to get this gold mine.
It's kind of funny that ETW got that close, especially with the scout trap in the bush. They did have vision, but pretty confident to try to poke down Celeste a bit and try to get a slight advantage, but end up taking a little bit too much damage themselves.
You see that Guest, you know, despite having that lead after that fight, does not want to do something risky like take a gold mine. They had an advantage, but they decided to just go back, take the jungle, and go back to lane. If you look at overall gold, you can see that actually Easy to Win is slightly ahead in that regard because Ernst has been staying in lane the entire game, basically, has not been rotating down very much. And some of his teammates have died as a result of this, but he's getting a lot of money, he's getting a lot of farm, already at 41 CS.
Looks like we may have a bit of an engagement here as well. Well, Remix and Shifeng just gonna walk back, going to be very, very careful. We actually heard a bit about this, how the Chinese meta is pretty slow. They play very carefully.
BNG taking a ton of damage here, but a ton of damage going down onto the entire team of Easy to Win here as well. Jifeng all the way at the front here, putting off a ton of damage. We do have 1-for-1 trade. The Scarf does get the kill on Sky. And can he get the last Heliogenesis? No. Remix barely surviving here. So it's going to be a 2-for-1 in ETW's favor.
That was huge. The Sky ultimate hitting all three members there. Huge amounts of damage, getting the stun on to everyone. It looked like it was going Guest's way, but then Rona with the huge lifesteal, that red mist coming in, and just surviving for so long. A lot of Guest, I think they just got a little bit too excited. They're like, hey, we're winning this fight 100%. We got that huge ultimate, but then just bunching up a bit, taking huge amounts of damage from both Scarf and Rona.
You know, if they had been able to kill Rona just a few seconds faster, that would have been a totally different scenario, and I think they were confident they were going to be able to do that, but it was just not the case. Still no ability for either team to take the gold mine just yet. They're both posturing here nearby.
Thinking about it right now.
Scarf did just buy, so he's bought at home, not at the shop, so he's going to take a little bit of time to arrive here.
That's a very early broken myth. We're talking about that Scarf farm, but look at this. They're going to use that opportunity. Sky even using the ult, and they are going to take down that gold mine. That's going to be 300 gold going to every single member on that team.
Yeah, so, well, I wanted to explain how gold mine works to maybe some newer players here, but looks like we might have another fight, so I don't want to start that explanation yet.
You can go ahead.
But it's really important to get that with the immense payload, because now, if they try to take it, they're only going to get a little bit of gold when they regain control. We're going to have a little bit of fight here near the minion mine.
Shifeng coming in, the red mist doing a huge amount of damage before barrage coming out of Sky. Shifeng already at half health, but Celeste not in the fight right now.
That Solar Storm, though, does connect with multiple members of the team, and now she's joining up. We see Arden jump in, BNG coming in as well, and so much extra damage on the Heliogenesis. Remix barely surviving, but not for much longer. Jifeng looks like he's going to fall as well. Can Guest get out? No.
Just barely not, and Beyonce is also going to go down. Scarf kind of holding his own, and little to no energy left over on little Andy, so he is going to have to back out. Overall, a decent trade for both teams.
Taking a closer look there at the farm, you can see that Scarf does have 57, now 59 to the 62 of little Andy. And the gold now has evened up at 7K apiece for both of these teams. A very even game, but again, the control of that gold mine is to Guest, which is really important.
Now, it's a very interesting build, actually, from Guest as well. They are running double crystal power here on both Sky and Celeste, and they both picked up a Frostburn first, so huge amounts of slow. I mean, Frostburn for Sky first is pretty standard, but having a double here is going to mean the entire team could possibly be slowed at any one point for Guest against ETW.
That's right. Now Andy getting a little bit out of position, but look at that gauntlet gets tossed down here, and now the positioning so difficult for Easy to Win to actually reposition themselves. Scarf, though, does escape to the top. He's dropping all that damage down here. Will he survive? Barely not. It looks like AAA Anthony's going to kill him before he goes down to that burn damage. It is going to be an even trade, but Remix, man, playing risky here. The Heliogenesis chain would finish him off.
Yeah, but just barely going to Survivor. That just really started off with a hold that thought.
Oh, he's just going to jump back in?
Yeah, just getting a little bit too far forward, a bit cocky. if I say so myself, and Remix just cleaning that up.
Remix was maybe even trying to bait that out a little bit. Definitely not the way you want to position yourself as Celeste. You want to be at the back and only drop your Heliogenesis when you know it's safe, or, you know, unless you're like checking a bush, for example. But he was up at the front without any vision, and he paid for it. And it looks like finally Easy to Win will try to reclaim this gold mine. Pretty safe to do so. We do see Celestial Storm come down though. Remix gets very low, but they do reclaim the gold mine.
Yeah, they do get 185 for each of those members, so a decent gold payout there, but more importantly, as we said before, they're going to gain control of that gold mine here and be able to fight more comfortably in the middle of the jungle for their team.
And that was Solar Storm on cooldown. Definitely not the best time here for Guest to try to take a team fight. They're actually pushing the lane though altogether, as they knew that after that gold mine, many members of ETW would have to go home. Well, now they're all back up. You could see an engage here.
Yeah, we do see Rona jumping in. Little Andy on that Celeste taking a bit of damage. Once again, a pretty long, drawn-out fight here. It seems like neither team wants to really full-on engage just yet.
Ooh, that was a big hit on that Heliogenesis, but with no follow-up, you know, this is not going to be a game changer yet. All right, the gauntlet is active for both teams, so you know, that could be basically the initiate for these two teams near this gold mine, which is currently controlled by Easy to Win.
So far, just farming it up. It looks like just disabling some of those scout traps around the gold mine. Do not want to give them any vision of that.
Yeah, it's really common to put a scout trap in the corner next to the gold mine so that you know when they are trying to go for it. It usually is pretty obvious if you're good at looking at the minimap, but having that scout trap there lets you know 100%. Little Andy very low here as well as not the most energy left on him, so he's a very vulnerable position. Keeps checking that bush just to make sure there's no one coming to follow him. So trying to poke here is risky, but he is going to go for it.
Just taking a look at some of the builds so far, we actually do have a decently early Fountain of Renewal picked up on Rona. Shifeng picking that up after the Serpent's Mask, so going to be very tanky and will have a lot of sustain in these long team fights. But look at this.
Oh, looks like they try to bait a fight here, but I think it's going to come back to bite them. We do see the Celeste goes down instantly, and as a result, they're going to have to back off. Definitely a bad place to try to back there. Oh man, Anthony is also very low. Looks like he will just barely get out of there. And, you know, under the turret, they're a little bit safer than they would be normally, but still with 3v2, they definitely have to take a defensive posture here until Celeste returns to the battle.
Yeah, kind of curious to see what ETW is going to do after taking out that Celeste. Looks like they're kind of just going to split farm here. Rona going way to the back of the enemy jungle, going to take a bunch of those minions. Scarf just pushing the lane, getting a lot of that farm, and it looks like they're going to buy up and possibly go towards that gold mine as it is just past the halfway mark. They're going to want to defend that and not easily give that up to Guest.
Yeah. Heading that way. Celeste still staying in the lane for now. Just need to be careful not to take too much damage. Basically, the laning heroes in this game will always try to get as much farm as they can safely, but then will always need to rotate down to join their teammates in the jungle to contest these big objectives, like the gold mine. All right, Gauntlet's offline for both Ardens right now.
Yeah, and very similar cooldowns as well, both at around 30 seconds for now. Solar Storm about to come off cooldown, so they may want to go for a fight here, but Scarfy's got his ultimate as well. It's pretty even, although I would say that ETW has the slight item advantage.
I'd say Guest has the better poke composition as well, so they can actually kind of do damage from afar, but if they get too close, that's when ETW's composition is really going to shine, especially if they trap them in the gauntlet. Yeah. Remix taking a lot of damage, though, getting hit by that Heliogenesis and the second follow-up one as well.
Looks like he really wants to engage with that gauntlet as it comes offline, but here we go. The Sky Ultimate coming down, not really hitting anyone here.
Gauntlet's going down on both sides. Stuns for anyone who touches those walls, but down goes Celeste. And the gold payout will, of course, go to ETW as now the Kraken has spawned. Meanwhile, we are going to see Arden fall, and it looks like we might even have an ace here for ETW as AAA Anthony is trying to escape, but I don't think he's going to get his way out of this one.
Yeah, looks like they're going to try to chase him down here. Maybe Scarf being sent to the lane to get a bit of farm because they know this is a free kill. There is, I believe, maybe an ace.
It was not an ace, actually. Celeste just barely got up, I think. Oh, no, you're right. It actually was an ace. Look at the minions. They got that ace buff.
Funny how that goes. So that's going to be an easy turret kill out here after getting the gold mine twice, a full one and a half one, and getting the ace. So ETW getting to a pretty sizable lead here, up 4,000 gold.
Yeah, 4,000 gold lead here. Going to give them a lot of advantages. I don't think they're quite ready to take Kraken just yet, but they are positioning. And if they're here, you know, Guest has to make sure they're not doing it, so that gives them a positional advantage because there's no scout traps here. Little Andy taking some damage. As well, trying to drop down those Heliogenesis on his way back. BeyondG taking a lot of damage, and down he goes. And this is, again, going to be a fight that starts to swing very quickly into Easy to Win's favor.
Looking that way, if you can force it into a 3-on-2, it's usually going to be pretty easy for you to clean it up. They're going to try to go for the kill here onto Sky. The ultimate is going to come down and stun 2 members, and the Solar Storm as well. Huge amounts of damage coming out, but Rona just does not go down.
She does not die, man. Too much lifesteal. And can little Andy get out? The answer is no, and that's another ace. And I think this time, Kraken is a very viable option, especially with all the gold they just gained. They can probably actually buy into it. Looks like we're going to see Ernst push with those ace minions to try to get another turret while they do go down there and start the Kraken. And this actually may be enough to momentum now for Easy to Win to end the game.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to end it off of this Kraken push. I mean, it's still decently early to the point where everybody on Guest is going to be up and ready to stop this. They are going to have, as you said before, a decent poke comp with Celeste and Sky to do a lot of damage from afar safely against that Kraken, but this is definitely just getting a much further lead here for ETW. They should be able to at least take out one more turret and also get towards those Vein Crystal turrets and maybe even get some further kills if Guest is not careful.
Yeah. They've got 2 Fountain of Renewals. They have so much sustain to continue this push. You know, if they take some of that poke damage that Guest's composition is good at, you know, they can just out-heal it essentially. And they're going to basically be the protectors of the Kraken. The Kraken is going to be the one that's knocking these turrets down with its big slaps that it does put onto those turrets. And let's see how much they can actually get done with this.
And look at this. I mean, we talk about the poke comp from Guess, but Scarf just does so much damage by himself, and the Gauntlet's going to come down. Celeste getting stunned. The Dragon's Breath also going to come out here. Huge damage, but a really nice Gauntlet from Guess Arden.
Yeah, BeyondG actually basically saving little Andy there. And we are actually going to see a 1-for-1 trade here. BeyondG needs to get back, though he's barely able to escape. So does Remix. And can Shifang get the kill? No, he cannot, and he might actually pay for it. But again, the Kraken is continuing to do damage during all of this, and Remix is actually going to help him. They're going to take out this bottom crystal turret, and Remix will go down as a result. We'll see if Shifang will as well. It looks like he might barely be able to just jump over the wall there and get out. But the Kraken did a massive amount of damage with that push. It looks like Shifang might even take the jungle on his way back. He's going to steal all of that potential gold.
Yeah, just a really, really nice push there coming out from ETW. These guys definitely know what they are doing. Able to take out 2 more turrets, and I believe getting 1 or 2 kills there as well, just so furthering that gold lead. We do see the Kraken does give 500 gold to everybody on Guest, but they were able to get 600 gold on the side of ETW from taking out those 2 turrets, not to count the extra kills.
Not to count the kills, not also to count just the way that the lane pushed so hard it takes vision away, gives pressure. You know, that's objectives taken that are going to be there forever. It does make it a lot easier for them to, for example, control their opponent's minion mines to make sure their minions can push the lane harder.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, I mean, Rona herself taking the entire jungle, so not much farm being left over for Guests. They get a couple of waves in the lane, but that's about it. And look at this, huge amounts of infusions coming out, a couple of them going onto Shifang himself, actually going both weapon and crystal infusion. Crystal infusion, of course, going to Scarf. And it looks like they may even go for the game-ending push here.
Yeah. Now, they need to be very careful about this. As you can see, little Andy is trying to poke them down as best he can. He's taking a lot of damage, though. And he needs to be at the back because he's going to be the damage dealer for his team from a distance, but if he gets caught, that could spell disaster here, as they only have 1 turret to protect them. and to protect that Vein Crystal.
Yeah, generally Sky and Celeste are pretty good at clearing these waves, but they have to be on it more. They need to clear it immediately. They cannot let it get to the turret because that's just the little extra poke that Scarf's going to get. You know, a little Spitfire Goop combo goes down, and immediately you're losing at least 20% of that turret's health. So got to be careful. But here we go.
Gauntlet goes down here, and we do see a lot of damage being put off by Guest. But look at that Rona doing so much damage, and even with Sky's ult going down, they all survive with that Fountain of Renewal. And now with the 3v1, only Anthony remains. The turret will fall here, and so will Anthony. It looks like he's got no way to escape, and this will be the game-winning push, as now the Vein Crystal is exposed, and they're simply just going to be able to kite him and take it down to secure the very first win in our Chinese Invitational.
It looks like that's gonna be it. Even Sky going down. The minions coming in. No more barrier. GG. ETW is going to win that game number 1.
With a 19-11 kill score, very dominant performance.